TV is blocking my face. All right, good morning. Declare a quorum and call the meeting to order. Let's see, I have Don is doing our prayer. Is that correct? Or? That's what I have on. I'm sorry.
I guess you didn't write it.
Oh, okay. Would somebody like to volunteer to do our prayer for us? All right, well, I'll certainly do it then. If we'll bow our heads, please. Dear Lord, we please request that you bless this governing body this morning and help us to make good decisions. And as always, we say a special prayer for those who are members of our courthouse family and their friends who are in special need of your attention this morning and this week. And we ask that you please bless them. And as always, we ask that you please bless those who are serving in our armed forces and in public service. It is in your name that we pray, O Lord God. Amen. Amen. All right, item number 3 is recognition of these special guests. We've got we've got the school superintendent, we've got the water board, and, lots of guests in Waukestonia. We got lots of special guests this morning. All right, so item number 4 is citizens' comments. I don't have anybody signed up. Does anybody have any last minute requests to speak? Item number 5 is our consideration and approval of minutes from the budget consideration and approval of the minutes and budget workshop from July 19th, 2021.
I make a motion to approve both sets of minutes from July 19th.
Motion, do I have a second? Second. Like Commissioner Shaw made it first. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Wayne? Second. So, all right, so we're good there. Carries unanimous. Item number 6 is consideration approval of treasurer auditor's report. Nothing? Thought I saw something from me.
Well, it's just the cash
Oh.
summary that we gave to the
Gotcha.
commissioners.
All right, item number 7 we'll come back to. Item number 8 is consideration approval of appropriate actions regarding our consent agenda. Item 8A is Commissioner Kelton, consideration and possible approval of action regarding the burn ban.
I talked to one of our local fire guys, and they're saying that we might go one more week, but if nothing changes between now and the next week, we better be looking at, he thinks we should be looking for a burn ban. So with that, I'm kind of open to what do y'all need to? What are y'all thinking?
I think we can go another week. We just look at it in a week.
If Randy will bring us some rain, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
No comment from Randy. Okay. So I guess we'll pass this week.
Probably not gonna happen.
If it doesn't rain, we need to have the paperwork on hand next year to probably instate the burn ban. I mean, next week. Next week, whatever.
All right, so we'll take no action on item number 8A. Item number 8B is myself, consideration and possible approval of action regarding approval of the county judge's recommendations for the use of the American Rescue Plan Act totaling $922,794 for water improvements and $750,000 for school district improvements for a total of $1,672,638 million. Before I get into detail, just letting you know right now we have sitting in the account given to us ahead of time is $3.6 million.
Right.
So this is just barely even a little over half of what they've already forwarded us.
Why don't we spend all of it?
Well, we hadn't got that. Well, it was like what I was going to say.
How come Brown County Improvement District's not on this?
Because we haven't got that's what I'm going to explain here in just a second. We haven't got the buy-in from everybody for that yet. We don't have the numbers.
All right. Well,
The,
that's gonna be approved on this until we get all that together. All right.
Well, I hope you change your mind after I explain to you what we're doing here. We have to have by the federal legislation that was passed by the end of August. We have to have, and preferably by mid-August, we have to have a report to them exactly what we plan to use the first half of the disbursement for. So we're trying to get that out there as quick as we possibly can. The reason why you didn't hear from the Brownwood Water Improvement District is because I'm still waiting on that. That one's a little different because the city of Brownwood is going to contribute based on their allocation. So will Bangs, and hopefully so will Early. Now, Bangs and Early will be very small compared to Brownwood and the city. And if those two cities haven't received any money or can't, then we're prepared to make up the difference for them in advance. But that's why the Brownwood Water Improvement District has requested 2.7 million, and we don't have a problem with that, but I got to know how much Brownwood is going to contribute to that, so that we're not paying the entire 2.7 million out of our grant allocation. So that's it. And also the district and county clerks have asked for 1.4 million for record archiving. We haven't decided what exactly we're doing on that one yet, but the Brownwood Water Improvement District, the money's there for you. It's coming. I just got to get the firm numbers. Emily's working on that. I talked to her and the mayor just the end of last week. We were texting back and forth as all of us were in meetings. But now let me go down. I've given you a handout for the water infrastructure and sewer. Now I'll stop here for a sec, fellas, and let you know this one isn't like the last COVID grant that we received where we could pretty much declare whatever we felt was COVID related, we could use it for. This one is much, much more restrictive. As a matter of fact, if we have any doubt whatsoever, we have to submit an electronic question to the Treasury Department. We have to wait on them to give us an answer. But everything we have on here has been approved. Brooksmith Water has asked for $317,499. Zephyr Water, $255,011, and May Water, $350,284. Randy, these are the same numbers that I talked to you guys about, or your other representative last week.
Okay.
So you have those numbers if I'm going real fast. In the school districts, they can only use it for broadband and COVID mitigation. They cannot use it for anything else. As a matter of fact, the water infrastructure, as a matter of fact, it even specifically states they better not find out that we use it for any street work whatsoever unless we cut a line across a blacktop and have to tear it up. We can repave that with it. But other than that, they're being very, very restrictive. We cannot use it on other types of infrastructure. Now, I'll pause here and tell you that as of this morning, I got a text from, or maybe it was Friday. Anyway, Senator Cruz's office that they expect the second infrastructure bill will probably pass this week. And that one is tons of relief for streets and bridges and things like that. So we expect that one coming.
Got a question. This is a preliminary thing.
Yes.
Is it amendable? I understand.
Yes. And I'm going with that last.
Okay, sorry.
I'm just trying to get it all rolled up to you. What school districts can use the money for? Well, for example, Bangs is in Early or fiber optics. Brooksmith has talked to us about installing ventilation, some windows in some classrooms that don't have it, so they don't have to depend on just the recirculated air. That is permissible under the COVID mitigation. And finally, what we'll do here, everybody here had to give us a real quick turnaround on what their estimates were for this, so we're not holding them to this. Hopefully, if it goes over this, then it has to come back to you for approval. But what we're going to do and what we have to do for auditing purposes is, if y'all approve these today, we'll issue them a letter of guarantee, which says you're guaranteed the money up to this amount. If you come in under that, that's great. If you come in above it, then I'll have to come back probably when we do the the Brownwood Water Improvement District and amend something, or we can amend it that'll probably come in beforehand. Let me backtrack that. The Water Improvement District for Brownwood, I expect that'll be within the next 2 weeks. So these projects aren't going to be done by then by any means. But
We're not gonna guarantee if they go over, we're not
No,
gonna guarantee that.
No, we'll guarantee, and what they'll approve this morning, and a lot of them in the audience is, I'm asking y'all to guarantee up to this amount. Now, if the actual bills come in less than that, we can't just give them a check for 317. That doesn't work that way. They'll submit the bills from the project, and then we'll pay them. Bob will pay them out of the grant money up to that amount. Now, if they want to request more than that amount, and we have the money still in that account, they'll have to come back to you and pitch that to you here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so like when you go buy a car at an auction, it's a letter of guarantee that the money's there up to this dollar amount. So with all that being said, that still leaves us a little over half of our first disbursement. And again, a large chunk of that will go to, about half of that, I would say, will go to the Brownwood Water Improvement District, depending on, like I said, ironing out the final payments. But I want to rest assured that, John, the money's there for that. I've kept that aside. I just got to know what everybody's buy-in is before I can get it approved by the board here. So just like I explained to you last week on the call. So with that being said, the total is $1,672,638, which leaves us a balance total after the second disbursement of over 5.6 million. But sitting in the bank right now, we already have 3.6 million. So that will leave us enough money to fund the Water Improvement District. Commissioner Shaw, I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
What about these school districts? That looks like pretty high figures for broadband.
Well, that's up to that amount. They don't get there, like, so they're not getting a check for 250,000. They can spend up to that amount. Hopefully it comes in less than that. But, I believe there's early ISD and Bangs ISD was particularly early. Their two campuses can't talk to one another, as I understand it, very easily. This will enable them to do that. And, Bangs, I understand, just needs a fairly, almost a complete overhaul of their, system, and this will enable them to do that. But then again, it may not even come up to 250,000 feet. That's just what we're asking you to approve up to that amount. And I'm sure, I have no question whatsoever that every one of them is going to get the very best bang for the buck and come in at the very lowest dollar, just like you gentlemen do, possibly. So
We got 3.6 right now, we're gonna spend 100.
1.6. Yeah.
At least about 2 to still spend on this work, but we gotta have, once again, understand, you gotta have this stuff on paper designated to something by the
Yes.
end of the month, or
Yeah,
what is the cutoff date? Is it actually the end of this month?
It's absolute submittal is the end of this month, but we'd like to have it prepared and sent to them for their review and then sent back to us because they're going to have some changes they want.
The end of this month is
August.
4 days away.
Yeah, I'm talking about not the end of July, the end of August.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
okay.
the end of
There you
August.
go. So that's.
So we would like to have everything to them by mid-August so that they can look at it and come back and say, hey, you need to adopt this hire, change this. Or,
We need to get that Brownwood pin down what they're gonna do and help out with
yes.
county districts. That right there's the top of the food chain to me.
Absolutely. But we don't want to, we can't afford to fund the whole 2.7 million out of ours. So what we're probably going to do is half of that. Half of that most likely will come from the city and half of it will come from the county. And then, like I said, if Bangs and Early can chip in, that's great. But if they don't, because I don't know if you are getting any money under this or not, under this Recovery Act. I don't know if they sent y'all any money, Tony, or not.
We're getting money, but we've not had any discussion about chipping in on this.
Well, again, y'all's part is so small, we're not really too worried
It's
about
not
it.
on us.
Now, the Brownwood, obviously, I'm very worried about it because, theirs would be more than ours because their population is higher than ours. But for some reason, they gave the city this time less money than us. I don't know how they calculate it. Usually they get more because they have a greater population, but they only got
They don't have a greater population.
they got like,
We've got 39,000 and they got 22,000.
but it did,
No, everybody always says that. We're responsible for the entire county.
Yeah.
We're not responsible for people who live outside the cities.
well,
We're responsible for the entire county.
But if they're dividing it up, surely they don't take that into consideration.
Well, Shane, unfortunately, they don't calculate it that way. They calculated who lives inside incorporated districts and who lives outside. That's how, I don't agree with it, but that's how the federal government does it. So they show us at 14,000 something for
And
the
I'm just
county.
telling you why we got more money than they did.
And, and they show, the city at 19,000. So, like under the first COVID relief, they got quite a bit more than the county did. But for some reason with this one, don't ask me. That's how they explained it to Bob. That's how Bob explains it to me. When they send us the breakdown, that's how they do it for some reason. Who lives in a city and out? I agree with you. We're responsible for the entire county, but that's not how they disperse the money.
And I kind of had a question one time. So Brown County Water Improvement District, how many customers do they serve within Brownwood? And then do they know how many people are served within Brownwood as compared to how many are served, outside of the city of Brownwood? So I didn't know the answer to that.
Well, I know I've already taken up a lot of your time, but what I'm asking you to approve this morning is for the water districts and with the exception of Brownwood Water Improvement, but like I said, theirs is covered. And for the school districts, for a total of 1.672638 out of 3.6 million, leaves us a little over 2 million to take care of the water improvement district. I hope to have that on the agenda either Monday, this next week, or the week after, depending on when the city gets me their figures.
And can I jump in real quick?
Microphone.
Oh, microphone. And this may be more of as a taxpayer than as a county attorney, but maybe both. And that is, I think that these are all very, very good requests, and I think they're all appropriate. I think the process that we're following is what's flawed. We've got to remember, this is taxpayer money. This is money that belongs to all of us, not the county, not the county judge, not this, not that. And so there has got to be some process where we advertise, we solicit input, we ask people, what do you think we should spend it on? And with all due respect to the judge, I mean, the judge is not who gets to decide how we spend this money. Okay, this is a lot of money. And we don't need a system where you come and you meet with the county judge and you whisper in his ear your wish list, and then he decides how to divide that money up.
Thank you, Shane. I'll stop you there. I'll take that as an insult. The money, how we can spend it is dictated to us by the Treasury Department.
Okay,
They've given us a very specific.
they've given you a very specific list that's very exhaustive, that is very, very long. It's not limited to water systems and computer systems for school districts. I mean, you could spend it on mental health care because of that.
Which I've got coming.
I know you do, and I'm not criticizing you, but I mean, people, if Baines Independent School District wants to spend $250 on internet, well, they need to come in here and make a presentation to this court and explain exactly what they want, how much they want, how they want to spend it, and then this court decides if they approve that expenditure. If Zephyr Water Supply or May Water Supply or Brown County Water Improvement District wants money out of this pocket of pool of money, well, they need to come and stand right here and say, we want $2.1 million and this is what we're going to spend it on. Here is a list of expenditures. We're talking about millions of dollars that have no idea what any of this is for.
Sure I do. I have their proposals.
Well, then you need to provide those proposals to this commissioner's court. And they don't need to meet with you and explain to you why they want money. They need to meet with this body and explain why they want money. And I believe that there are a lot of people out there. There are a lot of entities in Brown County that have appropriate requests for appropriate expenditures that haven't been a part of this process. And we need to make sure that everybody in the county that has an appropriate request has an opportunity to present that to this commissioner's court. I don't believe that it's because if I'm sitting out there, and I mean, MHMR is a perfect example. They haven't had any opportunity to present any request for expenditure.
You need to visit with Dion. Man. You
I
need to
did,
visit with your
about
CEO.
10 minutes before we started the meeting this morning.
So he's told you about the deputy and the vehicle that we're looking at getting.
That came up
Yeah.
Friday afternoon.
And
So you're now, but I mean, before you ever consider expending money, you need to hear from everybody.
Here, and apparently, first of all, as I said before, there's an additional 3.5, and I'm doing this in my mind, almost $4 million that is coming in this fall. That is exactly where we're going to put forth that. What I'm trying to do for the school districts is get them up and running for this fall semester just as soon as possible. The water improvement districts, I'm trying, as I can see them nodding their heads out there, I'm trying to get them the money so that we never ever find ourselves in the situation we did this spring where we had thousands upon thousands without water. I'm trying to put that through as soon as possible. And I have visited with some of the commissioners privately. I do have the proposals from the water boards and the approximate from the school district. But what I'm trying to say is there's an entire rounding up $4 million that we're going to be able we're not under such a time crunch to use this fall.
And I don't think that you're under any time crunch.
Right. Well,
What made
we're going to move on, Shane.
No,
Well,
Well,
it's up to the commissioners.
But
They get to
what
vote.
time crunch are we under?
I have to have the first report of how I want to spend this money into them by August 31st. That's a month from now.
And you've got a letter that says that.
Yes, that was part of the bill that was passed. It's the federal law.
I know we discussed, we got to start doing something somewhere. I mean, he started the process, but it all has to come for us to approve. I see what you're saying. I see what he's saying.
I mean, and I'm asking you, I mean, do you have any idea what Baines Independent School District is going to do with $250,000?
Well, they could only do what the law
No.
specifically says they could do with it.
No,
Well, I
but I'm
understood they were
asking,
gonna do a fiber
if you
optic.
approve
system over.
today to give $250,000 to Baines Independent School District, does anybody here know what that's going to be spent on?
Once again, they submit their bill to us, and as long as that bill is in compliance with the Treasury guidelines, the federal law, then we can pay, I'm asking them to pay up to $250,000. That's why it's a letter of guarantee. We're not writing them a check. It's a,
So do you know what they're going to spend it on?
well, I know, I'm gonna tell, they know what they can spend it on, and what they'll submit to us, all we can pay them back for is what the federal law says that they could use it for.
Okay, so Baines Independent School District is going to get a letter of guarantee for $250,000. They're going to go out and spend $250,000, and then they're going to submit something to you, and then you're going to decide if it's appropriate. And then if you just say it's not appropriate, then what are they going to do? Just be out $250,000?
Well, I like your faith in the Baines school district leadership. What we'll do is exactly what they already know under the federal law, what they are allowed to spend it on and what they are not allowed to spend it on. As I said before, this COVID bill is not like the other. It's got very specific line items.
But that's what I'm asking. Have they said what they're going to spend it on?
Basically, a school district can only use it for COVID.
No, I know that, but I'm saying, have they said?
Can I drop in? When we do FEMA work, we know what we spend it on, but we've still got to give them a detailed deal of how we spend it and all that. I see. They don't just give us that $250,000 and we turn build it. We got to tell them beforehand how we're going to spend every penny. It's like.
And I do appreciate your passion, I do, but I trust in the leadership of the school districts that and I'll reemphasize again with them what they can and cannot use it for before they ever begin any project. And also, they have to put those projects out for bid, so it'll be just like any project over $50,000, just like us. They've got to put out for bid, and everybody in the area or wherever they want to can bid on that proposal. And then they'll select the best bang for their buck. And then they'll tell us, all right, this is what we bid, this is what we hope to do for it. And once again, as long as it complies with the federal regulation, and again, that's being overseen by the Treasury Department, then I've asked the court to approve up to $200. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to spend that entire $250,000.
I would
I
encourage
just
them.
have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not part of the court.
No, go right ahead.
I
Sharon.
was just wondering, is this funding for anybody in Rome County businesses?
No.
It's only for certain people?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, like I said, unlike the first COVID bill, they've given a gazillion categories, but those categories are very specific. So like to answer Shane's question, I had a question last week and it took me to Friday to get an answer. The mental health deputies are using, and I won't take up too much of your time, just use this analogy. This example, they're using a vehicle that has over 300,000 miles on it. Well, it says that we can use COVID mitigation mental health, but it did not state specifically that we can buy equipment. So I had to submit a question to the Treasury Department, and it takes about a week sometimes to get your answer, to get an answer back. Can we buy them a new vehicle out of this Recovery Act? Finally, they answered late Friday, and I called Dion, and they said, or early Friday, and they said, yes, you can.
So
But
most of the people that this
Yeah.
benefits knows about, if the process was fair as far as that goes, the people that.
oh, yes, ma'am. Bob contacted everybody in the county that it could be used for. Yeah, we can't give it to charity. We can't, and we also cannot, and Wayne knows this well, he's nodding his head, we cannot fund something that would normally be funded out of our general fund. You
Well,
cannot
I
use
do
this
know
money.
that Sherilyn, I put in a request request, and
Yes, and
he didn't tell us about it. We found that out on our own. But, I got an email from another county that said that could be used.
yes, ma'am, and it took us a little while to get an answer for that, but we did specifically, yes, ma'am, they did say you could. That's why I mentioned it earlier. But I'm sorry, this has already taken up a lot more time. Y'all can approve just this half of the first disbursement. That still leaves us the full amount to cover the Brownwood White. And what they're looking for is, and you're welcome to speak to it, Mr. Allen, I believe it's two separate generators. Is that right, or four? Okay, I knew it was more than one. Now I haven't gotten their specific in yet, but anyway, that one's huge because if they don't have electricity, then nobody in the county gets water. We understand that, and we're going to take care of them as well, or I hope that we take care of them as well.
The only thing I do, I would encourage these school districts to get the best bang for the buck, and just cause us $250,000 laying there, and they don't need to spend it if they don't have to.
I agree.
I'd like to see an itemized deal from everybody, what they're gonna spend.
Well, I'll tell you the truth on our deal, we're still trying to get the answers and trying to get the engineer in place to do what we need to do. It's not like I can snap them. It turned into a process. And then you start,
I don't have
so it's not, but I understand, I kind of understand the process that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well,
I don't have a problem with water end of the deal.
do you have a problem?
School district deal, want to make sure that they get their bang for the buck, and not just cause that money's there, don't mean they have to spend it. They get what the product in turnkey, and it costs $140,000, that's why I expect them to say.
And the water districts, Brooksmith and Zephyr are generators. May, as you know, just finished a generator project. So theirs is more pipes in the ground kind of work. So theirs is taking a little bit longer.
Okay, well, I'm good with it, other than that, I just caution them that
Do you have a problem with getting your engineering drawings and getting a firm estimate on, and then coming back and asking the court for the money once you know how? I mean, I guess my point is
Okay,
is
let me answer that.
People, I know, is that we don't even know what this is for. I mean, as a taxpayer, we're just handing out money to people and don't even know what they're asking for. I mean, right here, this is all that. Now, I don't know anything about any discussions that were had outside of a public meeting, and that bothers me. But I mean, here's a piece of paper that just says Brooksmith Water, $317,499. As far as this body is concerned, no, we don't even know what that's for, what that's going to be spent on. It says Bangs Independent.
Are you gonna let me
School
answer?
Huh?
You asked me a question, I was gonna try to answer that. So yes, I mean, we had to, there is a deadline, what I understand, I'm just going but you gotta have at least a preliminary plan what you're gonna spend it on. Do we agree? I think we agree on that. Is that fact? That's fact, we got a date. And so, and you start thinking, it's really hard to put something together that fast, it really is. And just like my deal for the May water system out there, we said, we'll go hit an engineer. Well, you just hire an engineer, we find out there's a process. Well, I'll be until the end of next month before we can select an engineer going through the proper process. So we just have to kind of put together an idea of what we think we're going to spend on that, and it's going to come together later. And I will bring a bill at that point, but right now, I can't even get one if I want one. And it takes a while to put all this together. It really does. And I see you're excited about all this today. But I've been following some meetings. I know they had several meetings. I didn't attend one with Brownwood Brownwood met with him about the generators. I came to the one when all the water districts came, attended that one to listen to what everybody was talking about. I mean, they all have I think they do, basic plans.
They do, and my apologies, I
some.
don't have copies for you. They each had to submit a proposal. And we do have those. I didn't copy them to hand them out this morning. But if you'd like, we can table this, and after all our discussion this morning, I can have copies for you next time, but the copies are there. Everybody had to submit them. That's where we didn't pull the $317,499 all out of midair. That's what they gave us. As far as the water board.
And I appreciate that. Thank you, Jeff.
And Brooksmith is here if you want them to. Brooksmith is here.
If there's a proposal for $317,499, then that needs to be part of this meeting. That needs to be part of these minutes. I mean, a taxpayer, Joe Blow off the street, that's a citizen and a taxpayer of Brown County needs to know exactly what this court is spending money on. And that's called transparency. And so a taxpayer, Vance Hill sitting out there, in addition to being the sheriff, he's a taxpayer in Brown County. And so he needs to know exactly what $317,000 is being spent on. Right now, there's nothing. I know y'all are talking about these meetings y'all had and these estimates and bids or whatever, but I mean, the taxpayer needs to know exactly what that money is being spent on. And there's nothing before this court.
Are you thinking any project and cost of the project? Do you want every nut and bolt and screw, or what are you looking at? What do you want?
I don't know, I've never seen
What
it.
would make you happy?
Well, I mean, at least I would like to know what my commissioners are spending money on. I mean, there's got to be, it would be like you in a private business and somebody coming in and saying, yeah, just give me this money. I can't really tell you what it's for, but just give me this money.
I don't see that analogy, but whatever.
Well, that's what's happening. What's happening is there's a piece of paper that's got a number on it. You have no idea what that number is for. Have no idea what that
All right,
involves.
well, let's back up here. What
You
was
know
Brooks?
what it's for, but I don't.
Most of the representatives on this paper are here, so would y'all like to come up one by one and answer Mr. Britton's questions? Come on up.
Brooks Smith
Let's
is there, I
let's
thought.
have Brooks Smith, ISD, come on up and answer Mr. Britton's question.
I am familiar with what the money, how it can be spent, and I've we've delved into it thoroughly, and we're using COVID mitigation. What we're doing is, we have nearly every window, or every classroom, I should say, in the high school, has no window. They don't even have a window. So as far as the ventilation, and it's specifically listed, so on the proposal that I sent the judge, it's specifically listed that is an allowable expense. And that's a very expensive thing for our district to undertake. So this helps us a lot. Very, very thankful for this. But that is a big part of this. There are other windows that don't open, so for ventilation purposes and safety purposes, egress, everything else, we need that as well. High school windows are big because they just don't have any. And so we've gotten an estimate on these things. And then also HVAC units, which are specifically listed in this as well. We have a number of those units, I think the estimate was right around 20, that are really old, and just again, it goes back to ventilation, COVID mitigation, all these things, and those were specifically listed. And that's the limit to what we're using this money for. And I don't know, based on the estimates, we're probably, I think 250,000. I think it may run over, but we're willing to cover, I think we can cover whatever it runs over. It may run a little under. Estimates vary. I think we've only got one. We haven't taken bids or anything. Just got estimates. So as soon as we do, I anticipate it will be somewhere in that neighborhood.
And so you provided these estimates to Judge Lilly?
Yes, so what I did was, I just provided him a proposal and told him what we estimated this to cost. And I based that on estimates. I think I got one from, Walbrook or whatever, gave me an estimate. And I think the windows came in somewhere around 109 or something. And the HVACs, these aren't official bids or anything like that. We just wanted an idea what we were looking at.
Estimates.
The estimates, yeah. And I think the HVACs came in somewhere around 140. Something like that,
And so those estimates from Waltrip, you provided to Judge Lilly?
I did not send those to Judge Lilly. I didn't know that we needed to do that. I'd be happy to do that. But again, it's not official. We didn't take bids, do any kind of closed sealed bids or anything like that. So since there was nothing official, I just let him know what we estimated the cost to be. But that's how we got the estimate. And so, but I'm happy to do that. That's exactly how we're spending this money. And it's listed right there in the grant.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
How did you know to provide that information?
I actually talked to Bob, And Bob, I got to see, even though the grant, you sent me what you could use it for, and we found an area in there which I sent to the judge and quotes around it or whatever, to show that we can do exactly what we were hoping to do. So that's how. All right, thank you.
Appreciate you. And that was an example of the school district. Then Commissioner Kelton has been kind of representing Maywater. Can you share with us a little bit about what you are going to do with the money?
We had an estimate once for putting some valves in, which is several years ago. We talked about an intertie, and actually we have no estimates. We were trying to get hire an engineer to come out and look at our system and tell us what we needed. It needs a lot, I know that. What we needed worst and first. And we also talked about emergency tie-in with Zephyr, which is a couple miles of line or mile and a half of line. Adding on that stuff, I mean, so we'd have an emergency. May is a water well system. That's all they've got. They don't have any backup at all. If something goes down there, I mean, they're well only. If you get an emergency intertie, then you have the option of turning on their water. We know we've got the actual plant itself has been in there since 1968, I think it is. Some of the old original steel plumbing in the ground has been in there since 1968. But you can't see. There's one section of asbestos coated pipe somewhere that's in there needs to be done. The rest of it's plastic. There is some of it needs to be mapped, or things are added after the fact that weren't mapped. There's a whole list of stuff. And this is just ballpark guesstimations. I'm not gonna lie to you. We are not able to hire an engineer until we go through the process, and I'm trying to get that. We're working on that right now. Matter of fact, we're putting the ads in the paper. We put it in the paper. It should run Sunday. Ran Sunday,
Yesterday.
and it's on the county website that we're going to be looking for a request for qualifications. We're following TCEQ's rules on that, and we also will send out the packets for submission for RFQs, request for qualifications, and then that's set at the end of next month to go in there and you got to score them like we did the ambulance committee, and then you pick one, and then you start actually getting real numbers. So I mean, it's what I thought would be, oh yeah, I'll get you some numbers right quick. Ain't happen like that. So I begged and pleaded to reserve this much money for us, and we may not spend there, or they may tell us, I don't know, but I can see easily this going off the cuff. So that's mine is probably the least documented because we have not been able to get anything yet because we don't have an engineer on. A lot of these guys already have an engineer on their pick. Other water systems may hadn't dealt with one in years, and we have to go through the whole process. And the generators don't go through water engineering, if I understand that right. Is that right? You didn't have to have an engineering from TCEQ on the water generator. I mean, they can just do a generator, I think, without having to, because it doesn't actually touch water. But anyway, it's complicated, more complicated than I thought it was going to be. But it's a project that needs to be done.
So this morning, we can either approve up to these amounts, or we can just table it and everybody can come back.
We got somebody here that wants to speak.
Oh, did you want to come on? Yours isn't on the deal today, but I've explained to them what we want to, what funding you're going to need.
That's okay. John Allen, Brown County Water Improvement District. Actually live in Early, 125 Mitzi Lane. And actually, I am a member of Brown County, even though I live in the city limits, just to make that certain. We have done the engineering on this. Engineers are working on. I provided detailed everything I've got from the engineers. We spent the money so far. What we're looking at on our project is to run both treatment plants, each treatment plant needing 2 500 kW generators for wet loading and all that. I've provided everything the commissioners, or Judge Lilly, Commissioner Kelton and Bob has asked for, up to even our financial statements, which I'm not sure anybody else has had to provide. We have. So that is what we're looking for.
And you've already provided that.
I have provided that. Yes, we cannot go out for bids and get a detailed number on that. All we have is the estimate of what the engineers think it will cost at this point. So, but yes, I have provided every bit of that.
How much did they?
They project 2.7 million for our project, but in this climate that they're looking at, they don't know how accurate that's going to be.
So we're looking at, for theirs will be somewhere around 1.3 on our end, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, depending on what the city's actually, city of Brownwood, let me say, when I say city, I don't mean to disrespect Early.
Whenever we get ready to work there, we can approve
Yes.
$600, and then when we get that other money, some more.
Right.
Another-
And that's another thing to remember, Shane, what I would love to at some point be able to do, recommend to the commissioners is like everybody who's on well water, we talked about this at our meeting, if they're within a certain distance of tying into a water improvement, if they pay half, maybe if there's enough money left, and this is just an idea, we pay half, but then we got to look at whether the water district, that particular district can support that volume. So that's a lot more detail. But what I'm getting is there's going to be another $4 million that is coming, or rounded up. It'll be 3.5, 3.7 that's coming this fall. That's in addition to this. And that's what I was that's what we planned on funding all the other possibilities that the money can be used for out of. We just try to get something back to the Treasury Department by this August, end of August deadline. So that's why we put our heads together and we thought, and I visited with Wayne a little bit, and the water seemed to be the biggest issue.
Larry, do you have any of the information from the water district? Do you have any of the information from the water district? I was gonna say,
I did provide it all.
I know. Do you mind getting a copy of whatever you gave to Judge Lewis? So Judge Trey, Commissioner Trey with Commissioner Shaw.
Sure, no problem. They should have those copies
You
already.
want-
Well,
I don't
we
know.
haven't, 'cause we hadn't put it on the
I mean, I've
agenda.
got a general idea. I hadn't seen it personally.
You know, I will say it does no good to provide generators to any of the other supplies in Brown County. If we can't produce water, they don't get water
Unless they're on well water,
unless you're on well water. You're correct.
which we have two systems on well water. We have Blanket and Mayor on well water.
I think they might, Blanket have a tie-in.
They do have time to set.
I thought they did.
And
And we're looking for something like that.
again, we do have that, and of course yours is by far more expensive than all the others for the justifiable reason.
Well, I just wanted to clarify, we did provide all of that.
Right, and the reason why,
information that's been asked.
well, let me clarify, the reason why they haven't gotten it yet is because it's not on the agenda.
I think
But still,
pretty well be safe in approving this initial deal.
And I'm pretty sure Zephyr has a detailed,
Anybody wants to see those deals?
I've got
We'll get them copies, and maybe we should have one.
doesn't Zephyr have a detailed, they got pretty well detailed worksheet on one, don't they?
they do.
Theirs was a pretty detailed.
Gentlemen, I apologize, I gave you just the cover sheet, I should have given you the detail of each one. I just slipped my mind, but, and again,
Thank you.
thank you, John.
Anybody else here that's, Tony,
Tony, good morning.
anybody, or somebody else got anything, like somebody else? Yeah.
Get up here, Anthony.
How are y'all this morning? Tony here, City Administrator, City of Burley.
Good to see you.
Good to see you all.
Good to have you as always.
Thank you. I just wanted to talk, we have not made a request to Brown County for any of Brown County's COVID relief funds. We have our own. We're handling ours a little bit different. We operate our own water, sewer, police, fire. We're looking internally for a lot of those, the uses of COVID funds, which will mostly exhaust everything that we're doing. We have about 800,000 we'll receive through both allegations. And plenty of aged infrastructure that needs to be addressed with that. As far as the discussion with the generators and the Brown County Water Improvement District, we've not been a part of that conversation. We've not been brought in to talk to us about, we're going to pay a portion of that. We believe that that's a very complex process. And I don't think it's something that we should, just because we have engineers telling us that we could buy these generators, that may be the best solution. I think we need to have a coalition of people to solve that problem. We had once in my lifetime situation happen. And, I think the hospital did not lose power. There's an opportunity to put the water treatment facility on the hospital's leg and dedicate it as a critical infrastructure. That would not be an ultimate problem solved. I mean, you could lose that power as well, but you can't prepare for everything. But I think what I'm saying here is it's such a complex moving part. And just like Mr. Allen said, you can work on the distribution side, but if you can't treat water, it doesn't matter if you work on the distribution side and vice versa. So I think the plan would be that, have a request for proposals, treat this like a grant process. Everybody, if I apply a grant for the state, there's an announcement that comes out and says for the next 30 days, present your project and then we'll score it. That's a good process. I know there's some timeline issues. I think I would work on those timeline issues and see if there's extensions or availability so that everybody has an opportunity to get in and try to apply those requests. There's a lot of funds still coming, and this is an unprecedented problem for any of us to be dealing with. And I say problem, you've got all this money, it shouldn't be a problem, but it creates a lot of work. And trying to find the best way to do it is what we really are trying to do. And I think everybody's intentions are extremely admirable in trying to get this process done. It's a complex situation. We're dealing with it in early as well. We definitely don't have the funds that Brown County has, but it's a lot of money to early residents too. We want to make sure that.
And, yeah, like I said, and, you know, as you know, it's very restricted. It's not like the first COVID grant.
There's a lot of moving parts to it. Judge.
Right.
It really is.
It's extraordinarily restricted, and the timeline, the turnaround they gave us is actually unrealistic. We're doing the best we can to meet their debt, and we certainly don't want to be punished because we don't play by their rules. Is what we're trying.
I think everything I've heard this morning, every project out there is important to somebody. They all deserve to be heard.
Thank you.
Well, you gotta remember that, so they send money down from the federal government for us to disperse this for broadband, sewer and water. And guess what? The county doesn't normally deal with broadband, sewer or water. I mean, it's just stuff that we don't normally.
And another example.
Like Early May, because they have their own, but we do not.
Well, and another example of how come it's done this way is most of the Texas is unique, as we all know, and we love our Texas history. But we're set up where counties are fairly weak in Texas. Well, it's not that way throughout especially the Northeast, where most of those federal lawmakers are congregated. It's not that way up there. Lots of times you have county police and county sewer and water and everything is wrapped up together. So how they decided to disperse this money is based on the 3,000 something counties there are throughout the entire country, and that's just how they did it. So for states like Texas, that's unusual for us. We're not used to it being done that way, but we kind of got lumped in with everybody else. But I don't want to do anything. I don't want to even recommend anything that you're not comfortable with. So if y'all don't want me to make a motion on this morning, I won't. But I wanted to limit it and say again, it's up to that amount. And this is so that I can get it. I can tell the Treasury Department we anticipate spending this X amount of money on, and it's just an anticipation that we have to report to them, as Bob explains it to me, on this type of infrastructure.
These are all black and white, relevant and legal expenses. Every one of these, I researched that myself.
We've checked twice and 3 times to make sure that they fall under a specific line item that's approved.
With respect to Shane, I mean, I've been kind of following us along but I'm comfortable with what we're doing at this point.
Yeah.
Even though maybe we should have dispersed more information out to others, but I mean, to this point where we're at, I'm comfortable here.
And one last thing, if I can jump in, especially for everybody listening, none of us wanted to accept this money, as I mentioned to the media last week, because somebody's going to have to pay for it at some point. Now, it will not affect your local tax rate. It's not coming out of that. They swear to us that it's not going to come out of your federal income tax. Somebody's got to pay for it somewhere. But here's the situation. We could have refused the money and sent it back, but then they're just going to take the portion that we could have used to make the lives better for our residents of Brown County, and they're going to give that to another county, either in this state or somewhere else in the United States. It's going to someone. So under those circumstances, it's better for us to go ahead and take it and try to enrich the lives of our residents as best we can under what they specifically state it can be used for. So that's where it's coming. But I don't want anybody to think that their local taxes, school district, or anywhere else is going up because of this particular grant, because that's not the case. The money's already there. They put it into our account without us even really, well, we had to give them our account number, but other than that, there wasn't much involved in requesting it. They were like, here it is, use it or lose it.
It could very well have an opposite effect on the local taxes. I think.
Yeah, what I want to make real clear, and then I'm going to be quiet, is we cannot use it. It specifically prohibits us using it with the exception of public safety to substitute something that we normally fund in our operating budget. We can use it for capital expenses in public safety, and we can use it for personnel in public safety, but we can't use it for personnel under road and bridge. We can't use the money to substitute what we give to charitable organizations out of our general fund each year. They specifically said, no, you cannot do that. So we're very restricted on what it can and can't be used for.
So here's one question I got. Say we give the improvement district a million and whatever they're asking. And all this 900, so we're talking 3 million. Is that gonna guarantee that we're gonna have water in another deal like we just got through with?
Well, we don't govern them, to the best
No,
of
I
their
want
ability.
them to tell me.
Right, to the best of their ability. We had a meeting about that, and I apologize. Right, and that was the number
I know
one.
that, but everybody's gotta get everything they need. Are they gonna guarantee us, off out there on the crosscut Texas or wherever, that they're gonna have water if this deal happens again like it did this year?
I don't want to speak for them, but based on the meeting I had with them, to the best of their ability, yes, sir.
I can tell you that it will mean that we'll have electricity to be able to pump water. Now, your providers provide you water. We're a wholesaler. We provide to all the cities is what we do.
Understand that. Yeah, and everybody's gotta do it for any of its work.
Correct.
So that's why I'm saying it's gonna be
It's worth it.
$4 million just to make this deal work. And then, is it gonna be any guarantee that it is gonna work?
It'll mean that we'll have electricity. I can't guarantee you that, another freeze comes by that lines out in the system aren't gonna break or any of that. I can't guarantee that.
Routes open.
And the pipes in the ground, don't break.
Are you saying though, the majority of the people in Brown County though, the water does come through that plant first?
Correct. Every bit. We're the only treatment plant in Brown County.
So,
We
I mean, other
provide water
other than well water,
24,000
nearly all the water from Brown County comes through them first, and then it goes out to the other places.
Correct. The only other systems, Maine has wells and Blanket has wells. Blanket is tied into emergency interconnect through Zephyr, which gets their water through us.
We are not yet. Well, I don't know if this will do that. This may not do that by itself.
Well, and I want to,
Maybe include that in this project?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get some estimates. Like I said, we're gonna draw that up. This is probably not near enough. This is probably not enough to do that. This is probably not near enough to do it, but we had to just start somewhere.
well, the good thing is there's another whole disbursement equal to the first one coming in the second
Another
half.
son of this first one left.
There'll be, even after we fund, the Brownwood Water Improvement District, there'll still be some funds left over that y'all have discretion.
And after we get this engineer, Shane, I can bring you all that. After we get that, we can do
You
some
got
plans.
something, Tony?
Yes, sir. The other side of that question, Commissioner Traywick, is if they're producing water and they've got the generators to treat the water, all of the providers, the Hurleys, the Brooksmiths, the Zephyrs, the Blankets, their infrastructure has to be well in place as well, or it doesn't matter if you're treating water.
That's right.
And in fact, in the last freeze situation, treatment center did lose power and was unable to treat water for it, but there was other entities in the county that was shut off from providing water because they had other situations, pipes that are busting and water's leaking all over the ground. You eventually have to turn those systems off or you're gonna drain the system, the entire county system. So it's more than just, if we get generators, the problem solved. All of these entities, and much like Commissioner Kelton's request, there's things like that that has to work hand in hand for us all to be.
Right, and what we asked the water districts for when we all met, and I see Zephyr is here now as well, is we asked them, what is your priority? And we didn't give them any stipulations on what, but everybody but May came back with generators as their priority. I'm sure there's pipes in the ground that need to be replaced, antiquated and all as well, but we asked them to tell us what they needed first. So that's how we arrived at that. Well, and you're right, it's a lot of money. It warrants a lot of discussion. And
Could, at the very least, could somebody provide, so it's a part of the record,
certainly,
the
I know you're going, yeah.
requests that go along with each of these things?
yes. And again, I apologize.
Well, I don't know how you can vote. I don't know how you can vote on it without seeing. What's my question?
It's up to y'all what you want to do. The Bob has them. He's not here today. I'm sorry, he took his granddaughter on vacation. But
Yeah, let's table it and get the stuff and we'll approve it next.
okay, we'll put it on for next week. Hopefully, we've got the majority of the discussion out of the way. I have no problem with that. Hopefully we have the majority of the discussion out of the way. You fellows are welcome to come back next week if you want. John Allen, hopefully by then I'll have an answer from the city of Brownwood, and we'll be able to have yours on there as well. So, all right, so we'll take no action on item number 8B as in boy. Item number 8C is myself also consideration and approval of action regarding approval of to fund for 14 months a new assistant district attorney for Mr. Murray's office, as he discussed to us last week, out of the COVID money, which that is specifically permitted. It's going to, that new ADA would be on a year-to-year basis, and it would be specifically assigned to, as I understand, do nothing but prosecute the backlog of cases due to COVID. He justified it 2 year, what he wanted to use it for last year.
I don't see the number here though, the amount.
That's up to y'all. He asked for a minimum starting salary of 65,000, and plus benefits is what his numbers are. They're not in there, but I left it open because y'all make it 75 if you want.
It says 14 months though, so that's,
It's 2 extra months before the next fiscal year began because he'd like the position to start as soon as possible. Now that the courts are up and running again, he'd like to get that backlog, get working on the backlog. So I made it for 14 months, renewable each year from there on after. Nothing to come out of the general fund and nothing to be automatically renewed or absorbed by the county.
well, hang on, we got to do a little math right quick.
I'm not sure what the benefits are for a salary of 65,000. I'm told rounded it up, probably around 15,000 all in Social Security and retirement.
Well, depends on health insurance.
That makes it 75,833 for 14 months. 75,833 for 14 months plus benefits to be paid from that. I don't know.
And again, this would
Oh,
cover.
wait, we have a hand in the audience. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, the newest ADA is, making $70,689.59.
He was here last week, he asked for 65, so that's what I based it on.
But
Okay, I
you
just wanted
said
to-
65
And
annually.
the total benefits could
But
not
so
be
That
you do that
particular
14
person is $92,413.66.
for about 23,000.
Yeah, and that's gonna differ,
Based on
on
what
their
their
insurance.
options are, yeah.
That comes up to like 90,
92, what was it?
98.
For something, let's see,
And that's benefits and all?
yes, for that person, yes.
Yes.
It's
92.
92,413.66.
For 12 months.
Yes,
For 12 or 14 months?
no, this is only the.
So that's 65,000 plus the
Well,
benefits.
the estimated benefits is what she's given us, so
That's what it
estimated
is.
benefits
If you
would be
figure that, you
between
go 12
23,
months, 107,
25.
107, 8.
And again, if y'all approve this, it's to be funded out of the American Recovery Act, which specifically states we can't. So, Dan, any questions, especially for the meeting? We submitted a Treasury Department question just to make sure that we could use it for that, and they said yes.
So that's like 108.
Rounded up, yes, sir.
Well, that's really, really close to 108.
So what do y'all want to do with that? I told Michael I put it on this today. It's on here. What do y'all want to do? I'm in favor of it if it'll help with the backlog because it's a temporary position. It is not. Right.
Well, it comes up to 108, or right at 108 with the benefits. I mean, that's the total. Wait, I got a hand up.
On a temporary position, we don't have to, include them in our retirement plan.
It'd be for 1 year and it could be, they could renew it next year for another year, but it's up to the
If
court.
it's just temporary, we don't have to do that.
Don't have to do what? I didn't hear you.
Add them to our retirement plan.
Okay.
I would recommend that we do to attract a good person because who's going to move here for that, an attorney, I guess, for this.
Well, I'm not in favor of creating a permanent position in the long run at this point.
No, neither am I, but
108 will cover what you're talking about.
all right. We have a motion, and can I amend the motion and say to come out of the American Recovery Act funds and that it is a temporary position to be renewed year to year?
For 14 months.
14 months the first time so that it can begin immediately and then 12 months thereafter.
Did you settle on a starting salary?
He asked for 65,
That's what we're gonna leave.
Thank you.
so we have a motion. I'll second Commissioner Shaw's motion. I don't usually do that, but I think this is that important. So we have a motion, a second, further discussion. And again, it does not come out of our local budget.
This is something we discussed at length last week.
$65,000 plus benefits.
And this can't, we had this discussion last week. We just took no action.
American Rescue Plan Act.
I'll-
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? That passes. Item number 8, I know we've got a budget workshop after this. Item number 8D is, this is the same thing we approve every year, is myself, consideration, possible approval of action regarding approving the interlocal agreement between Brown County and the Regional Public Defender's Office, Local Government Corporation for capital cases, same thing we belong to each year. Y'all know the details of that.
Yeah, they changed the name last year and moved it to Austin instead of out of Lubbock County,
Right.
wasn't that right?
Used to be run out of the Panhandle, but now it's more central, yes, sir.
What was the cost of that?
It changes a little bit each year. Jennifer, do you know what it was? Last year was 35 or something like that.
Something like that, I don't know.
It's in the
Shane, do you know
contract.
that?
It's in the contract.
It's in the paperwork you have, the Brown County,
Gotcha.
it lists all the counties.
Yeah, ours is, that's right. If you look, hang on, I'll tell you, it is, we did include all of the counties. Brown is,
Well, Lubbock did it. Work started in Lubbock and Lubbock worked until that finally outgrew them more than they could handle on their own. Got moved to Austin to a separate entity.
right, this is my, oh, it's
Was
printed
that
back
last
to
year,
back.
wasn't it?
Where ours will be, 36,601 is what they anticipated this next.
And here's a good question for Shane. You still think it's a good deal to be involved in that, whether you use it or not? I mean, it's insurance to a degree
It's just
for a capital
insurance.
case or something like that.
It's insurance because if you needed it, I mean, if you don't have it and you have to fund it, it's millions.
Because a capital case could run into the millions.
So 36,601, I think. is what
I'll
it
make a
said.
motion that we, what are we doing here? We are, to continue another year, how do you want to say it here?
Renew our contract.
Renew our contract between Brown County and the Regional Public Defender's Office Corporation, blah, 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 out of capital cases. There's whatever it is in Austin now.
Do we have a second?
Office of Local Government Corporation of Capital Cases.
Larry? Is that all right? Okay, Larry seconded. So we have a motion and a second to renew the contract. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carries unanimously. Item, we gotta go back before we do pay the bills, number 7, consideration approval payment and bills as needed. So next week I'll submit to you the detailed, and I'll also submit to you the letter on the debt, the portion of the bill that has the August 31st deadline as well.
My shift is a possibility of getting that extended.
We've asked, and the first answer was no, but lots of people are complaining about it, so they could change their
There
mind.
you go.
As of right now, it has not been.
And we might,
They've probably been to court, you know,
maybe in the future, then you can go ahead and declare that like a public meeting so that the other commissioners wanted to attend those meetings, they can attend. That way it would be, I don't know if they want to go to all of them or not. I do not see a problem with bills.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the bills.
That's what we do, do, being about all.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Trewick seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carries unanimous. The last item is number 9, commissioners' comments. No action to be taken on this item, but it's a chance for the commissioners to announce anything they've got going that they want the public to know about, or I don't have anything different. We include staff in this under.
We got a hand in the back, but he's not a commissioner.
Under emergency management, Daryl, come on, under my auspice, under the commissioner's comments, you're welcome, come up.
This is for public notice. I had a message from Colonel Creek out of Camp Bowie, Friday. They're doing some demolition training out on the range. So yesterday through tomorrow, you may hear a little more noise coming from out there because they're using some heavier stuff than they normally do. And then the second part is tentatively next week, sometime between next Sunday and that week, 31st through, I think the 6th, they're tentatively going to do a prescribed burn, about 2,500 acres out there. They weren't able to have the one in the spring they usually do, so weather permitting, they may see some smoke out there.
Thank you.
Wait, yeah, we paid.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
So, yeah, any other comments?
No, other than I said, if we're gonna, I guess, and just sort of for confusion's sake, like I said, I suggested a while ago, anytime, I guess you start meeting maybe with people coming again to meet about this, go ahead and make it a public meeting and post it so that other commissioners want to come, they could. If they don't, it's fine, because a lot of times there's a lot of stuff to go to
No, we're talking about doing that in the future.
in the future, so that,
And then also those proposals the proposals the entities provided, that you would get copies for those expenditures. Maybe put those on the website so the public can see them.
It's a good idea.
Expect you to do that.
No later out here.
I'm sorry, Bobby, and I'm with the ARC, I'm not sure on like the agenda, and someone asked us if we could come at 10 today and speak about.
Yeah, we're running a little behind.
Okay, so I just wasn't sure if like I missed our like opportunity to jump in or not, so I'm
hang in there,
sorry.
we're almost
So
there.
sorry, thank y'all.
We're almost there.
Judge.
Larry, you have any?
oh, wait.
I have one question. We need to know who owns the radios that have been dispersed to the departments, for insurance purposes.
Daryl?
Do we own those, or are they required to insure them, or who's going to insure those radios?
It's in
I think it ought to be a county issue because
I thought it was rolled into, the insurance was rolled into what we approved.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think
It
the
is in
question
there?
was
Okay.
if they're assigned to the volunteer fire departments.
Who insures them?
So
Right, and
the
that's,
insurance was rolled into the original agreement?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure before.
And we're paying for,
this week's, as of Friday, COVID numbers are, we have, unfortunately, we're up to 100, we had 2 more deaths. So we're up to 142 total for our county. Active cases as of last Friday at 5 p.m. was 103. Local hospitalizations were 4. I'd asked Daryl, and he checked to find out how many of a lot of questions I'm getting for the public's sake is how many of those that are positive have been immunized, and I was told that over 95% of those positive cases have not been vaccinated. Now, that was as of Friday. That may have changed over the weekend. So, and that was an approximate because I don't think they actually keep track of that number. But that was, I think there were 10 cases in the county when I talked to Lisa on Friday of people who had mild cases of COVID who had been vaccinated. As I understand it, none of those, I hope I'm not wrong, as of Friday, none of those hospitalized had been vaccinated prior to. So hopefully that answers the question. But that's our numbers as of last Friday. And that goes out to the media also. Y'all got the same email that I get.
So it should be encouraging those people that hadn't been vaccinated to go ahead and get vaccinated.
Right.
You know, what I was reading this morning, it's going to be, it is, even the Moderna, they're effective against the new variant too.
And I'll say this loud, I'm asked this for the record, so I comment on it all the time. I personally am in favor of the vaccination, even though we didn't have 10 years to test it. It was an emergency situation. I got vaccinated, but I wholly, and I think everybody up here completely respect anybody's right to make their own determination. I'm just telling you what I did. But there are a lot of people out there who do not want to do it, and I support that, and I think everybody else up here does too. We support that, their decision to decide. Or that,
I did it though.
did you? All right, so when do we meet? Jennifer just walked out. When do we meet again? Do we need to meet on the 3rd? No, the 2nd. Is that a
I
holiday?
bet we do. In budget.
Canada, sorry, it was in red. So Monday the 2nd, I recommend we just go ahead and have a meeting, whether we have to post as a special, and then we have the budget following it, just like we have. Is that all right with everybody?
I think we should probably.
All right, so we'll do that. With that being said, we'll adjourn this meeting, and do y'all need 5 minutes for a restroom break before the budget meeting? Because we're liable to be in it for